Hello, Abnormal Investigations. I've got a Sunday drop for you. Thought y'all would enjoy one for a Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning. Let's go ahead and get into it. I want to start off by saying I am now 21, and this is still happening. This is something that has been going on during the summer since before I was born, but started getting bad when I was in summer vacation in middle school. For more help to picture this, I live in mid-Michigan, not the drug and gun find parts, although I do live very close to a few hot spots. No, I live in the rural part. The part of Michigan that's flat farmland with large patches of forest, where the DNR is constantly receiving stories of strange animals. The latest is an out-of-place big cat. Cats, I should say. Both jaguars and panthers. That's not what I want to talk about, though. I wish it was all, though. I think this is way more interesting. Starting since I was around the mid-90s or so, something comes around every summer, just stalking the roads and the forests. My first encounter was in 5th grade. Before then, I was always really sick as a kid, so I was never really outside much. But as I got older and stronger, I started feeling a lot better. I started faring much easier with the outside world. On my parents' house, we have tons of feral cats, close to a dozen on the average, and of course they have kittens. At the time, I had a big collie named Barney, who has sadly passed away since this incident. See, Barney liked to cuddle the kittens regardless of their age, meaning the kittens would go into shock being stolen from their mom by the giant ball of love. We would have to go outside and take the kittens from the poor dog and give them back to their moms. This was usually easy. Well, up until this summer, I've never noticed much of the problem. At least, I went outside our house and started to look for the cats. I'd go around to the back of our house by our barn. Around 100 feet or so I could hear snapping. Not like twig snapping, but corn stalks. I looked up past our barn into the field by my house, and I saw this huge black shadow, clearly heavily covered in matted fur, tearing through the field towards me. I was frozen. I've never seen this before. I've watched spooky shows and I've been into cryptozoology my whole life, but nothing gets you ready for something like that. Once fear kicked in and I decided to make a break for it, I ran to the house, grabbing a hot grill to try and make a path. By the time I got inside, my parents were terrified. They knew I saw something and tried to console me. See, they knew I saw something because a large unknown animal attacked my mom while she was outside one summer back in the 90s, back when it first started showing up. She said she ran inside after feeling a bad guy feeling, only to have a giant animal try breaking down the front door. My neighbors also seen it, one of whom took off after it with a .44 and tried to shoot it to no avail after it got too close to his house with his young kids. He said it just plainly ran and moved too fast. Fast forward around a week or two later, me and my mom both go back outside. Same deal, missing kittens with a big cuddle dog, but that's the whole thing, right? No. This time, we barely made it out the back door. My flashlight went past our barn toward the woods behind my house. A neighbor had an old, derelict truck, and horrifyingly, something was standing by it. Standing too, like it was taller than the top of the truck. I just remember this horrifying rocking motion as it watched up, and these giant glowing eyes. I don't remember much about the color. I want to say red or orange, but that was so long ago and I was too scared to look very hard. My mom rushed me back inside and we quickly locked the door, making sure we could latch it and secure it as much as possible. And we placed things around the door, like the table, chairs, etc. Now I'm an adult, and now this thing is still around. I used to have a room upstairs in my house. Now I sleep in the basement. One big factor for the move was because some nights I could hear crunching of pebbles outside, then slow breathing and shallow growls as something stood right by my window. Then you'd hear these screams from the woods, something that still freaks me out to hear, almost like a kid screaming, but throw in some bass and then make that as feral sounding as you could. It always gets all the dogs in the neighborhood barking, even though none of us are too close to each other. Also, one big thing I started really paying attention to is the smell. Whenever it comes around, it smells like rotten lettuce and dead possum. This gross waft of it will come far before this thing shows up. One of my more recent encounters happened with an X. She was a skeptic and didn't believe in much, but coming to my house for the evening steered her the opposite direction. We walked past my barn to go see if we could see raccoons. We have a mulberry tree, an apple tree, and a bunch of small sheds in the backyard past the barn. One shed always made me creeped out, right back by the truck I mentioned earlier. We got around 10 feet from the shed, and without a warning, this loud roar poured out from behind it. I hit the ground, and she took off running. Once I got back up, I broke for the house, never looking back. Since then, it's come around a few more times. It stomped loudly at me. I've heard more screams. I've even found a lot of torn up deer and large broken trees behind the house in those woods. I know wildlife. I took a class in Michigan wildlife, but this isn't anything I've met before. I carry guns all the time, either a 9mm handgun or a 7.62 rifle, just in case it isn't scared of humans, and I don't want to risk being one of its victims. I've come across cool stuff with it before. I got to talk to Linda Godfrey. Yes, the Linda Godfrey, who first reported the beast to Bray Road about it. She suggested it was a Sasquatch and not a werewolf, like most of my friends think. One of my favorite things I have got to do because of that, though, that was to cast a footprint and take a photo. I still have both as photos on my phone, which I'll try my best to upload. If not, I'll figure a way to get them to you. Mike, I wish I could get these to you right now. I'm not very good on my phone. But due to both, even though the DNR is at a loss with my photos, they can't figure out what they done. And yes, Mike, I did make duplicates before turning this over to the DNR. So there you go. That's my whole encounter. What do you all think I'm having? I would agree with Linda. I think you've got a Sasquatch that's very curious of your house and stuff. If you're only having it in the summers, I think it may possibly be one of the Sasquatches that migrate. And you have a food source probably on his way through, and he knows he can stop and get a peek at y'all. He's become familiar with y'all or infatuated with you guys, and just every year he comes through and kind of like a vacationist, he's going to stop by, see what's going on, grab some lunch, and be on his way. I still wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't want to get close to him, and I'd keep my head on a swivel so I didn't end up this thing's dinner. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate all the support and everything, the support with Hunter. As always, if you want to help bring Hunter home, the links are in the description. Thank you. God bless each and every one of you, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good week, guys. Oh, one last thing, sorry. I've got a very busy week coming up next week, so I don't know how many videos I will be dropping. Depending on what happens next week, I may end up having to go to some more things that I'll have to take care of. So hopefully I can get a lot of videos out. We're going to see what happens. It's kind of out of my hands. But whatever happens will happen. And I'm going to try my best to keep pouring out videos. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for the support. And again, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.